And I've long known that my family has been in Texas for generations, but it wasn't until I started doing my family genealogical research that I realized how strong our connection was to the state. One little known person that we're related to is a man named James Whitus Bullock. Although he lived a very simple and humble life, what you learn about him is that he actually started the Texas Revolution. He came over with Sam Houston after the War of 1812 to Texas when Texas was actually being colonized by Sam Houston as an impresario from Mexico. The interesting thing is, I can't find any image of James Whitus Bullock, but you can go to the Texas Historical Association and find more about his life and how he declared for the Constitution of 1824, how he was the lieutenant that started many battles during the Texas Revolution, and fortunately had the flu for some of the battles that he missed that were annihilations of the Texians who were fighting for their independence. He ended up having a dozen kids and moving to East Texas and just staying there until his death. Now, his brother-in-law and friends ended up becoming chief of staff for Sam Houston when he was president of the Republic. The interesting thing is that I can find out my relationship to him. I've been using WikiTree. Once I did my own genealogical research using Ancestry.com, Family Search, and a lot of other paid apps, I uploaded my GEDCOM file to WikiTree and started collaborating with other people free. And when I come up here to Bullock, I can actually go down to his relationship to me. And when I click that, you'll see that I'm a direct descendant through my mother, her father, the Burns family, through the Bullocks, and their name did change spelling. Now, James Whitus Bullock was buried in Millwood, in the cemetery there. And interestingly enough, that cemetery was actually named after his former wife for many years until it was renamed. So why am I telling you all of this? I'm going to connect two different stories. I'm going to connect my newfound knowledge of my connection to Texas history with some great desire that I've had to walk across, traverse continents and states that was fed by my English teacher in high school when I read 2 books. So let's transition to that. This next weekend, I am going to start my journey on the Camino Real, starting in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and heading towards Mexico City. I'm not going the whole way. That would be 2,500 miles. So most of you know I hiked the Camino de Santiago a couple of summers ago, and that was 999 kilometers in 32 days. Well, I'm going to do a similar but more historic trail that's more connected to my heritage and me personally, starting over Thanksgiving break. So wish me luck. No, I'm not crazy. And wish me luck that I can get over this sinus infection thing so that I don't have any illnesses on the trail. So many of you have heard of the Appalachian Trail, some of you the Continental Divide Trail, and some others the Pacific Coast Trail. But few people have heard of Camino Real de las Tejas. This is a historic trail that connected Natchitoches, Louisiana, where Sam Houston was bringing in people to settle Mexico, all the way to Mexico City. Now, the trail existed before him and was used by Native Americans, by Spaniards. If you want to learn more about it, you can visit this website here for the National Historic Trail. It's not the first time I've made a solo adventure where I'm doing something risky. But I feel so, gosh, what's the word? Proud of myself, I guess, for taking on an adventure that's physically demanding and requires so much mental perseverance. Last summer, I did the Camino de Santiago, starting in the Pyrenees Mountains and making my way across Spain. I walked 999 kilometers in 32 days. I walked all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. I left alone with a 30-liter pack. Met lots of friends along the way, had some injuries. I know, that one came up twice. I had some great feasts with new friends, got bed bugs, saw the most beautiful scenery, met great friends, went through Galicia, stayed in hostels where the shoes had better views than us, got to Santiago, received my Compostela, and then continued on another 60 miles to the coast to see the Pacific. That journey I started with jet lag. This journey I start with a sinus infection or the flu, who knows what. But it is day 7, so hopefully I'm towards the end. Wait, back up. That tells you how sick I am. I didn't hike to the Pacific. I hiked starting in France, across Spain, to the Atlantic Ocean, and I ended in a beautiful town called Finistère, which means the end of the earth. But wait, Miss Hart, so why again are you walking this trail instead of driving it? Well, many years ago, 25 or so, I was in high school and I had a great teacher named Mr. Beale. And look, it looks like he's still teaching. And while I was in high school in his English class, we had an assignment to read 2 books and to compare them. And the assignment I chose was comparing Travels with Charlie, a classic book by John Steinbeck, where a man travels with his dog across America in a truck, with A Walk Across America by Peter Jenkins. And what I found is that Peter Jenkins' experience was more intimate, more connected to the land. He met more people, and really it was just a deeper experience. Whereas Travels with Charlie, he got to see a lot about America and make observations, but he didn't have intimate contact with it. So since then, I've always had this desire, in addition to all the hikes that I did living in Montana, and I've hiked just about in every state, in every national park, but that just wasn't enough to feed my desires. I really wanted to walk and have personal contact with the culture of a place. So that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I will be walking the Camino Real de los Tejas.